Just sit down. His Excellency President Zuma will deliver his remarks, followed by His Excellency President, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Your Excellency, President Lungu, honorable ministers, members of the media, allow me to firstly express my heartfelt gratitude to my dear brother, His Excellency President Lungu, for accepting my invitation for a state visit to South Africa. The state visit is a further manifestation of the depth of relations between South Africa and Zambia. South Africa attaches great importance to her historical relations with Zambia. These relations date well back to the period of our liberation struggle when Zambia sacrificed and hosted the headquarters of the African National Congress in those difficult days. Our bilateral cooperation matured over the years. This state visit has provided an important opportunity to reflect on these relations and also to further deepen them for the common good of our people. We have just concluded successful deliberations with His Excellency President Lungu. During our deliberations, we discussed various issues of mutual interest. We are happy with the ever-expanding cooperation between our two countries. There are 21 agreements and memoranda of understanding between the two countries covering a wide range of fields. We have emphasized the need to implement all these agreements. We welcome the inauguration of the Joint Commission for Cooperation, which was launched yesterday on the 7th December 2016 under the stewardship of our ministers. This instrument will be utilized to ensure ongoing work and implementation of our agreements and other areas of our cooperation. We have committed both our governments to strengthen cooperation on trade and investment, science and technology, agriculture, defense, energy, and culture. We further committed to actively encourage both South Africa and Zambia companies to take full advantage of the excellent historical political ties between our two countries to increase economic activities. We further reaffirmed our commitment to focus on economic cooperation and have agreed to work together to identify specific areas in which South African and Zambian companies can do business. The South Africa-Zambia Business Partnership Forum, which is currently meeting at Freedom Park here in Tswana, it represents yet another initiative to strengthen existing cooperation and further explore new areas for growth. On the regional sphere, we have welcomed the fact that our region is relatively peaceful and stable. We committed ourselves to working together to assist those sister countries facing political and security challenges. We also called for the implementation of SADC industrialization strategy to create industrial capacity and value chains. We noted with concern the current drought in our region and pledged to work closely to mitigate its negative impact. On the international front, we have noted latest global developments and agreed to continue sharing notes in this regard. Following our fruitful discussions of today, it is clear to me that we have further laid a firm and solid foundation to take our relations to a much higher level. Our historical bonds demand of us to do just that. Our focus should also cover the people-to-people cooperation between our two countries. Cultural, educational, and scientific exchanges should be encouraged in order to uphold our common heritage. I thank you. You are very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President Zuma of the Republic of South Africa, ministers from the Republic of Zambia and those from the Republic of South Africa, and indeed all other senior government officials present, members of the press. Having heard the President give an elaborate, detailed statement of what we agreed upon, it remains for me to endorse what he has said as being an accurate reflection of what we have discussed and agreed upon. In fact, that's why we are here, to just confirm that what we agreed upon is reflected accurately, so that when we go home, and as you remain here, you'll be able to reflect and digest. We look forward to enhancing our relationships even further, considering that some of the issues we discussed suggest a trade imbalance, which we mutually agreed to work together to redress. And for me, I want to take advantage of this opportunity to just say, here I am, coming from a bruising election. Zambia has stabilized and we want to move forward. So ours is not to politic eternally. Our next election in Zambia will be 2021. So we want to work with our neighbors in the region and ensure that we integrate in the regional economy and improve the well-being of our people. Because politics have a season, and the season is when you are doing elections. And after that, your job as a politician is to deliver on that which you promise the people. And through cooperation such as this one, we believe that Zambia and South Africa will benefit by focusing on that which benefits its two people. I wish to thank you.
The Excellencies will take a few questions from the media. Yes. Ntebo?
Well, Good day, Your Excellencies. My name is Ndebo. I'm with the SABC. Well, historical ties between South Africa and Zambia are well documented. That is not in dispute. But my question is, there was a joint permanent commission for cooperation that was signed in 2005. And it had its inaugural meeting only yesterday, after 10 years or after more than 10 years. How are you taking this relationship between the two countries? How seriously are you taking this relationship? And I'm asking this against the backdrop of, even today, the relationship hasn't been elevated to a binational commission. Are we likely going to see that binational commission in the offing anytime soon? And maybe, Mr. President, I'm not saying it's a payback time, but I mean, looking at what Zambia has done for us as a country, is there any sort of gesture that we're having, or that anything that we're doing as South Africa in Zambia to sort of say to the people of Zambia, thank you? Thank you.
Can we see from the Zambian side?
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. My name is Kalowe Hanzuki from Zambia, Zambian News and Information Services. My question is on the trade imbalance. We realize that a lot of South African companies are in retail trade, and this is a huge investment in Zambia. But we realize that there are products that are coming from here that are flooding the Zambian, the companies in Zambia, which are also South African companies. And His Excellency President Lungu is on record calling on these companies to buy local products like tomatoes, bananas, and other stuff. So I just want to find out if there are any plans, looking at the JCC in place now, that would make probably South Africa invest in a processing industry, so that Zambia can also be assisted by the sister country. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, I can answer this question.
Which one?
Absolutely.
I'll start with Your Excellency, Mr. President.
Well, let me answer the first question, and His Excellency will say something on that one, then he will answer the other one. I'll say something after, so that we we balance the trade. Huh? Well, firstly, I think you know that since 2005 to now, many things have happened between the two countries. I don't think we can go back and...
I wasn't there.
That's what I'm trying to say, that we can't go back and try to answer the question by saying this is what happened at that time. I think what is important right now is that we have kept the relations. We have a lot of agreements. For the very fact that we have this state visit, it says we have taken a decision that let us lift our relationship and do more. In our discussions, we have, for an example, talked about the number of agreements that are there that need to be implemented. We have emphasized the need to implement. In other words, as my brother used the expression, we must walk the talk. So we've taken a very serious decision after our ministers have been meeting. and I don't think we could then, if we are saying it was launched now, we can't then say at the same time we must discuss whether we take it up or not. I think that is going to be determined by how we vigorously implement it. We are both very ready to ensure that this commission works. And it is in the work that we'll notice. As my brother says, that he was not there at the time. We might be there, we might have been there at different levels. But I don't think we could go back to the history. What is important is that after the elections that my brother has talked about, we have said before we start the next year, we must this year meet and make sure that we create this necessary foundation so that next year when we go to Zambia, we will be saying, what have we done? Recognizing that period, we have taken a decision that we are going to review the implementation of the agreements going forward periodically, which indicates that we recognize where we come from, that we cannot repeat that we have agreements that must assist both countries, but we take time to implement. So we're very much aware of that, and that's why our looking at our decisions and relations today is informed by that background, that we'll do things differently. Thank you.
The issue of investors in retail in Zambia, I think, is a matter I've pronounced upon in the past in Zambia, and we have demanded that what can be obtained in Zambia and sold in these chain outlets should be obtained from Zambia. And it's a matter I think we are discussing when we discussed it at our meeting, and we said if the quality of the tomato in Zambia is of inferior quality, let them show us the quality of tomato from South Africa, what they're doing to grow that tomato. And it's our technocrats and agronomists who sit together and make sure that there is value addition to our farming products in Zambia so that they're eligible for sale in these outlets. But we believe that probably it was the human desire to protect your own industry back home by the South African retailers in Zambia, which is causing this failure to buy from local people. But I think the minister responsible for medium and small scale trade has discussed with us. Working together, we'll find out why there has been this challenge. And I think the goodwill has been restored. The potatoes grown in Zambia, the chicken reared in Zambia, the goat reared in Zambia is not different from those in South Africa. If they are, we are asking the technocrats to improve the quality by exchanging technology and information and everything else. Because at the end of the day, our relationship should yield a win-win result. And I think that's where we are. That's why we are saying going forward with mid-term reviews, it's not going to be business as usual for our ministers, because we'll be watching over them. And as presidents, our role is simply to give direction and sit back and watch and superintend over the efforts of our ministers. Not to go into a ministry and say, you're not doing this right. Our role is to watch over our directives, and if we feel dissatisfied, then we'll have something to do with our ministers. But for now, I think we have restored our relationship to the level we want it to be, and the level we want to be is a balanced trade, a win-win situation, where technology which is available to the small-scale producer in South Africa, which enhances the tomato, is also brought to Zambia, so that our people also can get jobs and be able to be beneficiaries of our investment and the cooperation that we are talking about. If that is what you go pay back, then it will be.
Just to say, just add a little more. I think the fact that we discussed, perhaps also to take the question that was raised at what is happening between South Africa and Zambia. The fact that companies from South Africa are now doing business in Zambia, it means that our relations have gone beyond. Because in the past, as you know, Zambia was looked at by South Africa in two ways. One way, it was a country that was not liked by the apartheid regime because it was harboring those who were fighting against it. On the other side, those who were fighting Zambia was a home. Today, there's no different views. That's why companies in South Africa are in Zambia doing business, so that both countries could benefit from these historic relations. However, the issue of the imbalance, we also talked about it, as the President is saying, to say that we needed to look at it, and as we begin to say, let us implement everything, we'll take that into account. How do we bring the balance at a level that is acceptable to all of us? Part of the idea that the companies must buy goods in Zambia is part of dealing with the question of the imbalance. Because if they buy, then it means the Zambians will be able to benefit from whatever they are producing. So that is important from our point of view. We are also saying, and we talked about this, we are going to encourage South African companies that when they are getting to Zambia, they should also involve Zambians in the businesses, so that that will again, in another sense, bring the balancing of the trade and the economic activities between the two countries. So these are matters we talked about. We are going to be doing something about it as both countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. We have come to an end of this media conference. and the Excellencies will leave. Those who still have questions, we'll deal with some of them. After this, the Excellencies have to take leave. Thank you very much, Excellencies.
Thank you. Excellent.
Right, we're live there from the Union Buildings, where Zambian President Edgar Lungu is on a state visit to the country. Both presidents addressing the media there, just saying that they've concluded a successful meeting and that there are 21 agreements or memorandums of understanding between the two countries, and they're committed to strengthening political and economic and social ties, as well as the historical relationship between the two countries. All right, well, let's take you back